Welcome back to the Fear and Beer podcast,
where we discuss all things Halloween Horror Nights, horror movies, and just a little bit of beer.
So kill the lights, grab a cold one, and join us as we dive into this mad world we love.
I'm Nick.
I'm Seamus.
And I'm Jamie.
Like scary movies.
Uh-huh.
Here's Johnny.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
You miss me.
Aren't you drinking?
I never drink. Why?
And as a reminder to all listening, if you want to help us to continue growing as a podcast, don't forget to leave us a 5-star review on whichever streaming platform you use.
To stay up to date with us and all of our episodes, be sure to follow all of our socials. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at Fear and Beer Pod.
Feel free to reach out to us. We love to interact with you all.
Well, the time is here. Horror Nights is this month. We can finally say it. We can finally say that this month we will be attending Halloween Horror Nights 33. We will be in the fog. We'll be getting scared. We'll be having beers, all that good stuff. How's it feel? Feel pretty good to say that we're going to Horror Nights this month?
It does. It doesn't feel real. A whole another year has passed us by already, pretty much.
It's quick. It went by fast, man. After being, the whole COVID year and kind of trained our bodies that every 2 years was Halloween Horror Nights, these back-to-back years are feeling real nice. So, fingers crossed we got no more pandemics or whatever.
You hush your mouth.
Keep this train rolling.
You're going to jinx us.
So tonight we have a couple things to discuss. We're going to discuss those, very inconspicuous, untelling scare zone props over in San Francisco. I have no idea what that scare zone could possibly be. So we're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines, because that one got announced as well. We're also going to touch on some little updates that the site has made and a couple more pictures that we missed last week that were presented at the UK event that give us a little bit more of an idea of some other stuff. And, we got a long one. All right, and we're going to touch on a little bit of the Hollywood stuff. We don't really talk Hollywood all too often, but they've had like 3 or 4 things get announced, so I figured it'd be kind of fun to at least just talk about that for a little bit. So before we dive into that, let's grab some beers. I'm trying to kill my fridge. So I grabbed Old Reliable, a Miller High Life. Trying to get that, trying to run that fridge down empty. / I have been avoiding going to the liquor store because I'm still trying to cut some weight before Horror Night starts, and me going there and buying $200 worth of beer is not going to help me one bit. So that's what I'm going to be sipping on today. Anybody else got anything?
I forgot to grab something, but there might be something I could grab really quick out of the fridge. Short intermission. Seamus, do you have anything?
The sweet nectar of the gods, Dr. Pepper. Does that count?
Oh, it sure does.
I love my Dr. Pepper.
Dr. Pepper is the king of soda, and anyone that argues otherwise is wrong. So
put a little pep in your step.
Sorry, guys. And it, yeah. I mean, I guess for those that aren't listening in the US, because as we've come to find out over the last year or so, we have a lot of listeners that don't listen to us in the US. Dr. Pepper is phenomenal. I don't know, because I've only been to Ireland a couple of times. I haven't really been anywhere else in Europe, so I don't know if you have Dr. Pepper there. And if you do, if it's the same that it is here.
It's not.
Would you be surprised? The thing is like
Market Basket's like Dr. Thunder.
So the thing about, at least in the UK, the thing about their soda, or obviously they don't call it soda, they call it, I don't know, I forget what they call it.
Pop is like North
Pop or bubbly or whatever the hell they call it. They don't necessarily say the word soda. Their Pepsi is actually, their Coke tastes like Diet Coke, essentially, especially I can put it, or it tastes like Coke Zero.
Yeah.
Whereas our Coke here obviously is terrible for you because we're American. That's what we do.
Microplastic, whatever else is going to.
But their Pepsi is actually closer to actual Pepsi. So when we go to Ireland, I typically drink the Pepsi, not the Coke.
I had a table the other day at work.
Sodas tonight.
But not to get into a Dr. Pepper convo. But
sorry,
I had a table.
beer.
No, it's
beer
okay.
Right.
I had a table the other day at work from Ireland, actually, that the gentleman had never tried a Dr. Pepper. And his friends were like, come on, try it. And I was like, You are in for a
You're in for a
treat,
trip.
buddy.
If they don't have it, I'm about to ruin
You're
your
gonna
life.
enjoy it.
There's a
Yeah.
reason why
Yeah.
the United States is overweight collectively.
Yeah, it's gonna ruin your life because you're gonna taste how good it is, and you're never gonna be able to.
Right,
have
and
it
you're
again.
never going to be able to find it again.
Never.
So, what'd you grab from the fridge, Jamie?
Well, we still have a couple of these original Sin ciders left in there, so I figured I'd crack
Okay.
one open, not to waste them.
Empty
One
the
of
fridge.
my, other than the pineapple high noons, one of my other go-tos when I could find them at the liquor stores, which we don't go to as often as we probably should to find some new things, but that's
We
okay.
will in time, in due
'Cause
time. You got
we
other
tend
things
to-
to worry about.
We tend to
is
go a
hard.
little overboard too.
But
You're like,
it's
ooh,
below my
maybe
beer
this, maybe
budget at
this.
Horror Nights.
Right.
All right, so let's get into this because we have a decent amount of things to discuss. So last week, props started popping up in the San Francisco area, right? And they were not covered. And it was a giant cutout silhouette of a very familiar black house with the big letters BH on there. Now, it took them a couple hours until, somebody checked Twitter and realized, oh shit, everybody is, the secret's out. We didn't bag it. So they put some people out there to kind of cover it up and try to do some damage control on that front. But it didn't really work because everything clearly spread through the interwebs about as fast as you can imagine it would. So pretty much confirming, enter the Blumhouse. Not pretty much, but it is confirming. Enter the Blumhouse scare zone over in San Francisco. Now, it looks like they have a handful of little stages set up. So I'm kind of getting the vibe of Crypt TV-ish. I'm hoping that they can kind of get off and walk around, or they have more people mingling around. I'm hoping that they kind of push stuff in the back, but they do have a big truss setup over there as well. So it looks like we're going to be walking into a structure of sorts. So thoughts on Enter the Blumhouse officially, unofficially, officially being in San Francisco?
Very excited. I was looking forward to the Blumhouse Scare Zone. I'm surprised they still haven't officially announced it since they had put that little Instagram post and tweet soon about the Blumhouse. So, but
did
I'm really
recognize
excited.
it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm really excited for it though because I hope we see some more diverse characters in the Blumhouse universe that we normally see at Horror Nights.
Yeah, it kind of gives off what was it called again? Sorry.
Crypt TV.
Crypt TV. It gives off vibes similar to that Scare Zone from a couple of years ago. So will it be as I'm trying to think of the right word here, not sparse, but very haphazard the way that Crypt TV was, or is it going to be more of an inclusive, all-inclusive, very mixed bag of things? My guess is it's probably going to be similar to that, but I can kind of hope that maybe it feeds people a little bit better. It doesn't. I guess the point is like something that's more like Rob Zombie, where you took a whole lot of different things about Rob Zombie and kind of mixed it into one big scare zone. Like, I'd rather them mix a bunch of the different movies together instead of trying to keep like separate little pockets of things.
Yeah.
But
I think it's probably going to lean more towards the Crypt TV setup is what it's looking like. Probably if they do
probably
have people roaming, because I think for Crypt TV, now thinking about it now, I feel like everyone kind of hung out in their own little
They did because
area
it was
pretty
full
much.
COVID.
Yeah.
they did.
Oh,
Yeah.
and it was, yep, you're right. And it was COVID like that too. I mean, I figured if they do have maybe some of the people just on the little stages and stuff like that kind of hang out up there, if they were to probably have people walking around, it'd probably be like Purge people or something like that, maybe.
I want to see like team ups. Like, I want to see like the Purge people interacting with other movie people and like killing
The
another
Grabber
person.
and the
Like,
Ghoul.
yeah, just kind of like weird little mashup-y thing. So let's go down the list real quick. If you have others, you can throw them out after, but I'm curious what you think about these and like who you think is going to be there. So you just mentioned him, the Grabber. You think Grabber's going to be there with the balloons and the top hat and the mask?
Definitely. I think so,
Probably.
for sure. Yeah. He has to be.
They've already got a whole bunch of stuff for it. So
They have the costume.
I think
Right.
that's a no-brainer. I think that's I think 100% in there. Anybody from Freaky, whether there's the butcher character or Catherine Newton, the blonde girl with the red jacket and a knife or whatever.
again, probably. I mean, I would assume that we're gonna have characters from the houses they've done in the past. I not saying that there won't be anything new, but they've done enough Blumhouse at this point that they can kind of pull a number of things into it. Like I'm sure we're gonna have, and Purge is Blumhouse, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so I'm sure we're gonna have like Purge characters and various things. People are saying Michael Myers. I don't know if you were gonna bring this up, Nick, or not. I'm not 100% certain that we're gonna see Michael in here. I know that he's technically Blumhouse now, but is he really a Blumhouse character, or is it just that they produced the reimaginings? I can't imagine you're gonna see him there. I could be wrong, but I'm leaning towards you're probably going to see more original Blumhouse ideas, like original Blumhouse movies, more so than licensed at this point.
Yeah, as much as like they did produce that last trilogy, it would still feel like a little out of place. Like I'd love it, but it wouldn't. It just would feel different. Like it's very much.
It would be weird. It would be weird.
Yeah. So, Jamie, you think we're getting some freaky people?
I could see freaky being in there, possibly. Yeah.
I think say a Catherine Newton lookalike.
Maybe not both characters, but at least one of them.
I think Catherine Newton's more notable because she was like
I think so too.
Killer, and that was
with
like even though the
red
butcher
jacket
was
and
the
stuff.
killer.
Right.
Yeah. Any Five Nights at Freddy's?
It's a good
stage.
It's a good thought. Will it happen? I don't know. Because again, it's one of those things where this is also a property that's existed before. Like this isn't something that Blumhouse produced that was out of somebody's brain hole. Correct. Like this came from a video game property. So much like, obviously not the same thing as Michael Myers, but similar idea where this movie was based on an existing property. So how hard is it going to be to make that happen? If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I'm sure they have to go through multiple levels or multiple stages to get access to something like that. Like it's not just, hey, Blumhouse, can we use those characters? Because I don't think even like Blumhouse probably has to get approval for a theme park to use that character somewhere. It's same with Michael Myers. Like I'm sure that Halloween House a couple of years ago wasn't just Blumhouse saying, yeah, go ahead. No, it was probably they had to get rights from Blumhouse, but then they used a lot of things from the original, which I don't think Blumhouse owns ever, because Blumhouse I don't think owns any of that.
No, I think they just have produce the ability to make new ones.
But it has nothing to do with the character itself and the rights to the character. So depending on who owns the rights to those characters depends on whether or not they would have access to this. Because Blumhouse probably doesn't have say in that. They may have produced the movie, but they have no control over those characters.
You think we'll see them, Jamie? Any of them?
It's no, I don't. I was gonna say maybe, but the only thing I would have to think is because when Hollywood last year had that kind of like Blumhouse like setup, they had the Five Nights animatronic like suits like set up that you could go around in the room with some of the other costuming and whatnot that you could look at. I mean, I'm sure Hollywood would be kind enough to lend them to us, but the only thing is that I feel like it would just be so tough having just one single character from all of them standing out in the scare zone. I feel like they would have to be more interactive, and I feel like it with being such a big, heavy, and bulky suit, I feel like it could possibly.
Well, the dog decided to start playing with a toy.
I feel like it could.
Wait until 9:45 at night to play with a goddamn toy. I was with him all day, and he hasn't done anything.
I was just gonna say, I feel like it could possibly be dangerous for this character to be in such a big suit and being in the heat for so long, per se. If maybe we had gotten a house with Five Nights, I think it would be a little more doable. So I don't think we're gonna see Freddy Fazbear in the Blumhouse scare zone, sadly.
Well, I've been saying it the whole time, so I'm just gonna go down with the ship. I'll say yes with an asterisk. I'm gonna give myself credit if it's also like somehow tied into like the Peacock Bar or like a food stand, like have a Freddy Fazbear's food stand.
No, that'd be cool.
But I mean, I've been saying it since last year. So like, what's the point in changing the tone now and being right in August?
I'd rather be right
since November instead of wrong. I don't care. If I'm going to be wrong, I might as well be wrong the whole year. But I'm just going to say yes. I'll go down with the ship. We'll see some sort of presence, whether that's in the zone or a food booth or the Peacock Bar. Bagul. You think we're gonna get a Bagul from Sinister?
My damn guy. Oh, I hope so. I mean, we had the Sinister as part of the Blumhouse before with Insidious, and I think it was one of the purges that they did that year. So, I mean, they've used, and I've recently watched some older YouTube videos of walkthroughs of the house, and they used his character in there. They have him multiple times throughout that segment of the house. So, I mean, they could dust it off a little bit, probably throw it in there. I think it'd be awesome to see him in there.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't know if you were waiting for me to answer. I don't see why he wouldn't be there. I think he's a pretty recognizable character from one of their bigger movies. So I guess there's a chance that he won't be, but I can't imagine they wouldn't. I think he's a pretty effective character one way or the other. So,
and he's so creepy looking.
Plus, he's still got to be an easy costume to make. I mean, he can't be that difficult.
Yeah. So I was actually going to say the opposite of you, Seamus. I thought, like, I hope he's there, but I feel like Sinister, compared to like how well known Blumhouse is now, I feel like that was kind of when they were sort of starting, so people might not recognize him as easily. I don't know if outside of our circle, like it's that. Like you ask people,
right. I don't know.
I
don't know. It's curious. I very rarely talk to people outside of our zone about this stuff, but I'm curious, like people that aren't in the know, like you bring up The Purge, that they probably know it. Same thing with like Insidious, I guess, to an extent, but like I feel like the same people that mainstreamly know Purge might not know Sinister. I don't know, it felt more like indie and like smaller, but I hope he is. I love that movie.
Yeah. And it got the sequel too. And I feel like, I know, me too. But I feel like sometimes when I ask people about it or if I mention it to them, like even our friends or like other people who aren't as into, like you said, as horror as we are, I feel like majority of them have said they've seen Sinister and they're like, yeah, it's really creepy. And I'm like, it is, and it's good.
Yeah, I mean, I'd be more on the side of, I don't know how many people realize that it's a Blumhouse movie.
True, yeah.
Because like Nick said, it's an earlier in the canon earlier in the canon for Blumhouse. So how many people know that movie is actually a Blumhouse movie? But other than that, I mean, yeah, I can see what you're saying, that maybe I'm thinking of it from the perspective of someone that likes a lot of Blumhouse and has been watching Blumhouse since the beginning. Is that maybe why I think he's a little more popular? But I feel like people would recognize him, but maybe that's just me. I don't know.
I hope so. And like you said, they had the costumes, so like it does seem like this year is the year of borrowed stuff. So like it would fall in line with that mindset. Oh, so here's a movie that I feel like not a lot of people have seen, but they should, is Totally Killer. I think it was on Prime or Peacock. It was streaming when it first came out. I loved this movie. I thought it was a blast. I had fun with it. It was like that weird 80s Back to the Future / Hot Tub Time Machine turned horror. But the killer was pretty like recognizable with the big goofy mask of like the blonde hair and the dangly earring. So I don't know.
I don't know if I've seen that.
It's a fun watch, man. Is
it recent?
Ish this year. It's this year.
Okay, so I think
it's on either Peacock or Prime. I can't remember which, but it's fun. It's kind of like Imaginary, where it's like this isn't a good movie, but it's a fun movie, and it's fine. You know, it's a perfectly okay movie, but I had a really good time with it because a lot of the themes in the movie, 80s, time travel, interest me. So I liked it, and I think the mom is Claire from Modern Family.
Yeah.
But what do we think? Totally Killer make an appearance. Pretty easy costume.
I mean, I've never seen it, so I can't really tell you. But I don't mean if it's newish, I don't see why not. Like if it's a newer character, people will recognize it. So
too easy of a costume, in my opinion. I feel like I feel like Totally Killer. I really enjoyed it. Actually, I did like the movie a lot, but I feel like it goes hand in hand with like Happy Death Day. Like, I was never really into it. I don't think I've seen Happy Death Day, to be honest with you. I just think the masks like that with like actual like face like cheap like dollar store like plastic masks are just like kind of cheesy to me. And I feel like, and I know when I'm saying this now because I could just know how they do it. Don't even say it because I know you're gonna say, oh, Michael Myers masks is cheap and it used to be the blah blah blah. Then what?
Your favorite guy in Shipyard last year was the stupidest, cheapest little monkey mask guy with the sailor outfit.
That was like a full like prosthetic like over the head mask, not like a little like boop.
dollar store Halloween spirit
No,
gorilla
no,
mask
no,
on
no,
this guy
no.
wearing a little sailor suit.
If you're listening, if you played that character in that scare zone, I really liked your character, and I know a lot of work went into that mask, and you did not buy it at the dollar store.
Not go into that mask. Don't work into that mask. You know the
You're
work
hating.
was, hey, Tom, can you run down to Spirit real quick? Yeah, sure. Here's the company card. Chink, here's the mask. All right, there's my work. I'm clocking out. See you later.
At least he looked like a creature or like a monster. I mean, I just feel like the Johnny Bravo mask just doesn't really do it for me with Totally Killer. And that's
Johnny
all.
Bravo.
It's pretty
That's
much what
all.
it looks like.
It's
I
pretty
do
much
have to
what
watch
it
that
looks
show.
like.
I think I've heard things.
I did enjoy the movie though. I really did. I thought it was
A
fun.
movie, whatever it is.
Me and Nick both liked it. But I just feel like, and I know I'm saying this now because I guarantee it's gonna happen. I just feel like Happy Death Day or Totally Killer or something along those lines is gonna take place of something else, like Bagul, for instance. I guarantee you we're gonna get one of those over Bagul, probably just to really spite me, because they know I'm excited for the Blumhouse Scare Zone. But we'll see. Maybe I could be wrong.
All right. Well, I was going to bring up Michael Myers, but we sort of already talked about that. Purge. Give me some Purge presence in this zone.
Probably.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I would say 110% sure there will be Purge in this.
Yeah, that's the easiest kind of costume, right? Just some, whether it's
another mask.
I just looked at the images for that Totally Killer. It looks like Max Headroom.
Okay, I could see that too.
Yeah. Sorry. I was looking it up, but yeah, I think Purge will be here. Purge will be here. Are you going to mention Happy Death Day? Because I know she's said it a couple of times. Is that in your list? All right, I'll wait till you get to it then.
Yeah.
Because I think you and I are going to disagree on that one, Jamie.
Oh,
so
really?
We all think Purge.
Yeah.
Megan.
She'll be there.
Are they going to do her in the zone as well as dancing, or is she just going to be dancing?
I think so. I think they're going to have, maybe not her as like her own little station, but they'll have like the Megan thing come out, and that'll be the place that it happens at.
I think, yes.
Which makes so much more sense than last year, where it was just like, hey, we're going to randomly have Megans go out and dance. At least now there's an actual space for them to be in. And it makes sense to be in San Francisco. So yeah, I think again, 110% sure, without a doubt, Megan will be there in some capacity.
That's exactly what I was going to say too, Seamus. They were going to not have her own little spot, but like have the dance thing going on in that space. Yeah,
that's what I think. So I mean, if your question is she going to have her own little station? Probably not. But like what Jamie's saying, I think that she'll have like an area in there where they can come out and do the little Megan dance thing.
So that's what I hope they do. If they don't set up a stage like where they had for Conjure the Dark, I hope they at least have them go do the dance over in that area. So that way, like, it doesn't disrupt the traffic. Just push them out as far back as you can, have them do the dance. And then that way they kind of have a backing so people can't like fully surround them and just have, a line like that. Happy Death Day. What do we think on Happy Death Day? The little baby mask thing?
Yep. As much as you don't like the masks, Jamie, it's too recognizable not to put them in there.
It's very recognizable. It is.
It's a very recognizable Blumhouse movie. Unlike, like Nick made a good point with Sinister. Sinister is early enough where people may not realize that it's a Blumhouse movie, or maybe it's just old enough where people don't recognize it. The baby's too recognizable to not be involved in this in some capacity. Plus, Happy Death Day to me feels like a Blumhouse movie, if that makes any sense. You know how you watch a certain movie and you go, without even seeing it, you're like, that's an A24 film. Yeah, that's a Blumhouse movie. That's a this, that's a that. That movie feels like one of those weird concept Blumhouse-y movies with a weird killer, different type of mask. So that's one of those ones that people just recognize immediately, like off the top. Sinister feels more like a Conjuring. Yeah. Like you may not really, a lot of different studios could make that movie. So I can kind of see where Nick's coming from when it comes to that. I think that Bagul should be there, but at the same time, like I kind of see it from his perspective too. But with Happy Death Day, I think you have to have him. I don't think there's any reason not to.
I think so too, especially because it was also part of one of the mashup houses. So again,
well, that's true too, right?
Somewhere, I'm sure.
Yep.
I still got to watch it.
Yeah, there's two of them.
I've never seen it all the way through either.
Oh, man.
But that's the thing. Like that, you actually just helped make my point a little bit. I've never seen the movie in its entirety, but I recognize the character.
Yes.
And I go, that's Happy Death Day.
All right. Are they gonna double dip on Insidious?
No,
Yeah, I don't think so either.
I don't think so.
I don't think there's enough good recognizable like I don't think you're gonna have the red lipstick.
No,
demon
but why would you
walking
have
around in makeup.
scare actors from the house out in the scare zone? That doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, have they ever done that before where they've had like a scare zone in a house together? I don't think.
Walking Dead?
Yeah, but
Really
zombies.
good.
Like
That was more of
Yeah.
the horde, I guess.
right.
And then the last one I just added. Anything from Imaginary? Are we gonna get Chauncey Bear?
No. Maybe. I mean that'd be a hard costume
Or
to
like
make.
a little girl walking around with a Chauncey Bear. The bear.
Yeah,
itself.
I guess that's possible. I don't see why that wouldn't happen. That's a good question. I'm not sure. I wouldn't say that yes for sure, but at the same time, I wouldn't say no necessarily either.
I think it'd be interesting to have like a smaller female character carrying around the Chauncey Bear.
Yeah.
For like evil.
Yeah.
All right. Any other thoughts about Enter the Blumhouse?
No, I mean,
Go ahead, Seamus. Go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, I think that, and we probably already hit the nail on the head. I think it's just whatever they've used in the houses in the past couple of years, past few years with Blumhouse. I think they're just using those props and those those costumes to just kind of throw something in the scare zone.
Mhm.
And it was probably just easier for them to reutilize a lot of those same things. So I can't imagine we're going to get a ton of new stuff that we haven't seen before. But for someone like me who didn't get to do a lot of the earlier Blumhouse houses, it'll be cool to see some of the stuff, again.
That's my biggest takeaway is I hope it's not stage Crypt TV style. I hope they are walking around, mingling, scaring, rotating off stages and, having these weird combo mashups that we're not typically expecting.
Yeah, I agree. I don't necessarily want it to be like Crypt TV. I think Jamie's right though that it's going to be, but I would rather them kind of be more of an open area scare zone and have the characters there, and just have maybe like trailers going and music playing, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Granted, the Crypt TV thing does give you a better opportunity to take like photos and stuff, so people may like it more because they can stop and get a picture with the character or whatever. And at least that part of the park is pretty well lit because they tried to do that with the Scare Zone a couple of years ago in Hollywood, and it's too dark and you really couldn't see a lot of what was going on. What was the one with
Lights, Camera, Action?
Yeah, the Haction one where they had different characters from previous houses that it's kind of hard to really see what was going on in a lot of them because the lights just aren't great over there. Yeah. And because of that, it may be hard to appreciate the different costumes and get pictures and stuff. So at least in San Francisco, it's a little better lit.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on. We got our final house announcement over the week, and that is the one we kind of knew all along, right? It was a Universal Monsters house. It's just a matter of what. And this is Universal Monsters Eternal Bloodlines. So I'm just going to read off the quick little bio, and then we can kind of discuss the story as a whole a little bit more in depth. But the tagline is all female, all fearless, all fatal. Get caught in an epic battle of Saskia von Helsing and the Bride of Frankenstein go up against Dracula's daughter and her monstrous mavens. So kind of tells you a little bit, but not a lot. But we do have a more in-depth breakdown of this. So essentially the story is Saskia van Helsing is the daughter of Abraham van Helsing, and Abraham killed Count Dracula. So Dracula's daughter, I think it's Saskia. Mm-hmm. No, Saskia is the Van Helsing.
Okay.
Countess Myra arose from the dead to seek revenge for her dad. So she's going after the daughter of Van Helsing. She forms an alliance with the She-Wolf of London and Anaxinamun. However, Van Helsing has also found an ally in Bride of Frankenstein, who has been kind of teamed up against Dracula's daughters and Dracula's brides in the past. So there's that bad blood there. So it's the two of them versus the three of them. So Bride of Frankenstein and Van Helsing teaming up against pretty much Van Helsing, mummy style character in Anaxinamun, and the She-Wolf of London. So what do we think of this story compared to some in the past?
I won't lie to you. I kind of hesitantly can't wait to see the discourse this is going to create online. If I haven't, I mean, I am perpetually offline as much as I can be because I don't like dealing with a lot of people, but this is going to.
So in the horror,
I don't want this to come off as me having this opinion because I don't share this opinion, but there's going to be a lot of people that are like, this better be good.
I think it's been surprisingly, because I have such like low faith in humanity, it's been surprisingly well received.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
I hope so. Because I just remember, I mean,
and it's
the Ghostbusters thing.
Well, it's tough too because we don't. What I see is not necessarily general public. You know, what I see is like horror nights people.
Right,
so
we
like,
see the horror nights community. So generally, we're pretty well accepting of things.
Super behind this, and I am as well because I think it's a fun storyline, but I don't know what the general people are going to say, and those people we don't really hear from anyways because I don't really feel like it because I don't want to. But yeah, so does this story do it for you? Seamus, you are like the Van Helsing. You know,
yeah, I was pumped. I mean, I remember, I don't know what episode it was, we were talking about it, and I said I would rather see them maybe do a Van Helsing story. Mm-hmm. And sure enough, it in a way is bringing in Van Helsing. It may not be specifically the Van Helsing, but you know, it's still tying into that story and that bloodline. I think it's cool. I'd rather them do take my biggest complaints with all of these monster houses usually have been you're not doing anything original with it. And they're the one IP that you guys literally can pretty much do whatever you want because they're essentially your characters. I know you still have to get clearance from like Universal Pictures, but like it's not one of those things where like you're going to get fought on it unless it's like completely drastically different. So it's good to see that they're taking some existing character tropes, maybe not necessarily the same thing you see in a lot of different, like a lot of their classic movies, but they're taking these characters and doing something different with it. So rather than saying, hey, look, it's Count Dracula again, woo, yippee, we're going to take his bloodline and we're going to pit them up against the bloodline of other characters or other specific characters, like I can't say her name. Anaxinamun from The Mummy. Like that's a pretty cool thing. Like we're going to give her more a leading role essentially instead of it being like all of the standard traditional characters we've always seen year after year after year. We're going to try something different for the first time. I know it's not completely different because it's still basically Dracula, Frankenstein, The Mummy, but at least it's not just Lady Frankenstein or Lady Dracula. There's an actual story here. There's actual character building. They have their own, like, it's not like, you know what I'm saying? It's not just like, here's the 10th female Spider-Man for the 100th time. You know what I mean? Like these are actual characters with actual backstories and actual names and an actual like story for that character. If that makes any sense.
They're not just like female mummy versus female Dracula.
Correct. And that's my point. Like, I feel like, sometimes that happens where like they do it just for the sake of doing it rather than saying, let's actually write a real fleshed out story. Not necessarily Universal. I'm just saying in general, people tend to do things like this where it's like, hey, let's just make a female version of this because female, but they don't really put any effort into writing a story that makes sense and has you care about the characters. This, at least it feels like they're trying to do something different with it and giving them their own personalities. It's not just, you know,
doing it for the sake of
Countess Dracula. It's Dracula's daughter and or whatever, but she has her own story, her own background that they've created for it. So that I'm excited for. I think they're going to do a pretty good job with it. It won't be like the one the Monsters House that I disliked a couple of years ago, which felt like they were kind of just shoving things together.
Yeah,
that was my biggest complaint.
I'll make it a little bit. Yeah,
right. That was my biggest complaint with the house, not last year but the year prior, was that it felt like they were just taking three characters and kind of ham-fisting a story together to make them all fit, and it didn't to me, it didn't feel like it worked. But last year, I felt like the story made more sense. I could see these characters coming together. It made sense why these characters would be fed into the same world, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Unlike the previous one. But yeah,
I
sorry,
know-
I'll digress. And let
I
you
know.
guys.
I know Todd's happy that we got Van Helsing love. Jamie, what are your thoughts on the Universal Monsters house this year? Eternal
You got-
Bloodlines.
You guys pretty much covered it for me. Seamus, I feel like you're hyped up for this. I'm excited. I
am
appreciate
excited for this
I
one.
appreciate the positivity. And like you said, Nick, it's been very positive from what we've been seeing in the community and stuff like that. But like you said, everyone's always very nice and accepting. But I think it's nice that Horror Nights listened and definitely gave us some different characters. Like you said, Seamus, with different backstories. We've been wanting to see more variety. I think it's awesome that it's all women monsters and women characters that maybe even if people who didn't know who these characters are, maybe after going through this house, they would want to do more research on them, watch some of the films that they were in, look more into them, which is awesome because women do make up a big part of horror, which is super cool. But I think it'll be a fun house overall. I'm interested to see if it will be any similar to the Bride house that we saw in the previous years. But what team are you guys on? I gotta know.
Am I allowed to be on Team Van
definitely
Helsing? Because
I'm on Van Helsing and Bride versus. I'm just so sick of any form of Dracula.
Team Van Helsing.
Loser.
Kill all the Draculas.
No. But I'm excited though. I think it's gonna be
yeah.
a cool house.
Yeah, so that was a couple. So one of my points was I like the simplicity of the story. It's essentially just like she wants revenge. She made an alliance to team up to take down Van Helsing, and then Van Helsing found a partner as well. It's it's a 2-on-3 handicap match, and we get to be right in the middle of it. Versus, like Seamus was mentioning, Legends Collide. We're like, well, the Wolfman needs this secret amulet, and he didn't know where to get it, but then he got a secret benefactor who sent him this to go get it from the mummy, and the secret over, and there's another secret over. It's like, all right, you lost me. Just make it a simple little something like this. Like, okay, I get it. Van Helsing killed Dracula. Now the daughter wants revenge. She seeks the revenge on the Van Helsing bloodline. She needs some help. And then my other little on this house is there's 5 characters in this, and you couldn't just make up a fucking female character for creature. You couldn't just make a creature character to appease us. Like you couldn't just throw them in there. Equal
to be honest,
there's got to be some sort of licensing or copywriting or something with Creature that they can't fucking do anything with them. Excuse my language, listeners, but I think it's absolutely insane to me. It's just ridiculous. They have them in the damn tribute stores all the freaking time.
Yeah, I know. For me, I would rather them wait and give him his own treatment. I've said it before. If they're gonna do Creature, I think he needs to have his own house first.
Yeah.
Before you start throwing in all these different crazy variations of them. Like it's one thing. So like I was saying, so with we've seen Dracula a bunch of times. We've seen the Mummy, we've seen Frankenstein, we've seen these characters a million times, right? Maybe not a million, that's an exaggeration, but we've seen them a bunch.
Yeah.
I would, I'm glad they're doing something different with them if they're going to reuse these characters. But I would have rather them give me at least a creature house before you go and make a female creature and add her into this just because we need to add her in here. Like, give me just a creature from the Black Lagoon, please, just once in my lifetime. And don't make it a versus house. Like, just make it creature.
Please don't.
That's all I ask.
It would be nice.
Whether it'll happen or not, who knows? I think you might be right, Jamie. I feel like there might be some sort of licensing thing with him that makes it harder than the other characters. I don't know. I could be. Who knows? We don't know that inside and out. But
or maybe they just don't want to mess it up. I mean, I don't think they would mess it up. But
I think that or their big concern is the water, like the effects budget that's going to be required for a house like that. I know they've said before on tours that budget's no object. We can spend as much money as we want on these houses. We spend a ton of money on these houses. Everything we've heard about water effects, they're always a pain in the ass getting water to work, and they never seem to be able. Remember, when they were talking about the pier house a couple years ago, and they were trying to do that water effect where there was a guy in a boat and there was actual water and stuff, but it never really worked.
Yeah,
you're talking about a character that literally lives in the water. I think it would be really hard to make a house and do anything with water effects and be sure that it's going to work night in, night out, without problems. And I'm sure that's part of it. So if they're going to do him ever, it's going to have to be in some sort of compilation. He gets one scene that they can make work, like kind of with the Yeti, where they had that like that little boggy area where it looked like water, but it really wasn't water.
Mhm.
So that's probably what they're going to have to do with Creature. But not that we went on a whole tangent. I'm sorry, I brought us on a tangent for.
No, I
on
did.
this,
I brought it.
But either way, I was going to say something. I forget. I was going to bring something up into one of your points, Nick, but now I forget what it is because we talked about Creature.
My first point was kind of like just having this more simplistic story versus.
Oh, right. So I was going to say, yeah, I agree with
stuff.
you. The fact that like with this story, it seems like all the characters have this motivation to have them clash. Whereas before with Monsters Collide, it didn't feel like there was any real motivation there. Yeah. So it was hard to believe that any of that stuff would like, I know, believable monsters, but like the story wasn't super believable because it's like, well, you're kind of like
just shoehorning
it's a stupid story. With this one, at least it feels like there's actual motivation there. Like someone's seeking revenge on the bloodline of another character because of what they did, or what they're like sins of the father type thing.
Correct.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So
this another little interesting fact: the house is scored by Emmy-nominated composer Sarah Barron. So it is also composed by a female, and I believe the show director is female as well. So they like went all in.
Good.
There is no male in this cast, like scare actors at all. Like this is 100%.
That's cool.
So interesting. I like that. And the only one that I wish is Hollywood does get Slash to compose their Universal Monster houses. So I would like at one point to get a house composed by Slash. Cool. I understand. I like the route they're going with this, being like, no, we're all in doing female. Like, just I like that, but maybe next year, maybe we get something by Slash. I know we're not going to because we would have by now, but it would be interesting. But this is going to be in Sprung 10
I want my Billie Eilish house. I'm just saying.
Right, composed by Slash. This is in one of the new Sprung tents. So, another little new thing. We're going to shift away from monsters. It came out online. The Torture Fair Scare Zone. They updated the bio a little bit. So it is now come one, come all to Sinister's Renaissance Fair with the devious theme of medieval torture. Brave the gloriously gory homemade torture devices till you're put out of your misery. So seemingly confirming that Demon Queens is surreal and Torture Fair is sinister. The upfront scare zone is going to be that duality of fear, whether they lead you one way or another. They're seemingly both up front, and they will both each have a presence in one of the other zones. So kind of what we were thinking, but they've since confirmed that Sinister is kind of overlooking that zone. What do we think do we have any thoughts on that? Because I think it's just a little Demon Queens feels like it fits surreal, whereas Torture Fair, it doesn't feel like it fits like a character looking over it. Like I was just thinking just a medieval torture fair. Like that's just kind of what it is. I didn't see somebody kind of ruling it.
Mm-hmm. Unless she's going to be in like the chair, like sitting like on the throne kind of thing.
I mean, I'd assume she's there somewhere, but it just seemed, it seemed a little pushed.
It's weird that you say that because I thought that was odd. That's why I kind of looked like that because I hadn't read about that yet. And I was like, that's kind of weird. I hope that they're only going to be kind of included in those first zones. And unless they're trying to do how they did with like Dr. Oddfellow last year and kind of have them incorporated in every zone, which
that's what it sounds like.
That's what they're kind of doing, but with just those two. So like Sinisters get Torture Fair, Surreal gets Demon Queens. That's it. It's not they're not sprinkled into Swamp or Blumhouse. They're kind of just those that upfront portion where it's right or left.
Yeah, but still, it's like, did we really need to do that? Or
it seemed like Medieval was like kind of its own. You know, it seemed
that's
fitting
the only thing
enough.
that kind of throws me off. I feel like exactly.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion one way or the other on it. I'm happy that there's a little more direction for it. Like at least they're now stating this is like a Renaissance fair. It's like a screwed up version of a Renaissance fair. Before it felt like it was just, it's just going to be a bunch of different torture things haphazardly placed in the scare zone. At least now there's going to be some story built into it. I mean, whether that, needed to involve the Sinister character, I don't know, but I'm sure they needed to balance it out. Like, you can't give one of them one character, one scare zone, but not the other another scare zone. So at least they had to find some way of tying her into something.
Yeah, that's what I think too, because it very much was Demon Queens made mention of Surreal right off the bat, and then they're like, yes, this is also. It seemed like also if you wanted to do the announcements, I would have done Duality of Fear, and then Demon Queens and Torture Fair, like pair them up like such. But let's move along to the pictures from the UK press event, because we talked about it a little bit last week, but there's a couple more that I have been found this week. So the first picture, they're all different. We got 2 houses and 2 scare zones, but we have pictures from the Monstros, the Monsters of Latin America, and it gives a little character design for the La Lechuza style character. And it's funny because it says La Lechuza and then it says Flan right underneath it, which was the code name all along. But this gives us the look of this weird, demonic, bird-like creature. One image is pretty gruesome where she's flying through the air, blood all over the mouth, carrying what looks like a little villager. And then the little character design makes this thing look terrifying. I think we're all pretty much about as excited as we can be for this house. I think we all kind of align in that mindset. And this house is we know a little bit more about this house than others because it has previously been around. But does this character design surprise you, excite you? Where are we at on this design in particular?
I like it. It's the exact same design as they use for the one in Hollywood, which is pretty cool because in the walkthrough video of the monstrous house over there, they have the La Lechuza in a super cool, big, nest thing and just sitting in the nest, and just the character design is just awesome. So I'm really glad we're getting this character.
Yeah, it looks really cool. Looks a little bit like a Lord of the Rings orc, but other than that, I do like it. It looks gruesome. It looks messed up. It doesn't look like someone in a mask. It looks like some sort of weird bird creature thing. So I think it really does kind of look interesting. This house is going to be potentially one of my favorite ones.
I think they John Murdy on Twitter, who's one of the Hollywood directors, has confirmed, saying that they shipped their La Lechuza to us.
Oh, I figured. That makes sense. I was going to say it looks exactly the same in that little sketch drawing. That's cool. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah. So let's move to the next slide. We have 3 masks from the Goblin's Feast house. Now, these are really unfortunate, funky looking guys. All right.
It's exactly what I thought was going to happen.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So the first one, typical green little goblin, looks like the guy from Clash of Clans. Got the big old bug eyes. One's dead. He's got some ear piercings, really beat up, almost bat-like wing ears, but pretty cool. We have more of a, I don't know, maybe a hobgoblin style character.
Like a witch goblin. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, it reminds me of Hobgoblin from Spider-Man a little bit, but he's got just blemishes, gross oozy stuff over his eye, big long ears. Yeah, that one's definitely more grotesque than the others. And then we have the last one, purple, kind of looks more beefy, definitely hits the gym. I would say that's the orc.
Orc, yeah.
Yeah,
it looks like an orc.
Big old bulldog teeth, orange eyes, really beat up ears. So seeing this, Seamus, you said this matches exactly what you thought. Jimmy,
this is exactly what I thought it was going to look like.
Yeah.
Excited? Does this do you think that with this character design we're going more in that funny campy route, or is it going to try to be serious?
I don't think it's going to be super serious. It's kind of hard to make these characters super serious anyways.
Yeah.
Because again, to me, goblins is more dragons than it is horror. It's more along those lines. It's fantasy.
Fantasy, yep.
And it's hey, goblins. And I'm not going to hate on this as bad as I did Dragons, so don't everybody get nervous. But I'm not
Goblins.
excited for it. I could care less. Well, I couldn't care less. Excuse me. I don't know. I mean, it'll be a fun little distraction, especially for people that need a break from like the more scary shit. But like, I think it's exactly what I figured it was going to be. It was going to be a bunch of like, drunk goblins terrorizing people. Like, I don't
Like carrying around like a severed leg is like a turkey leg and eating it, or like a club.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Exactly what
maybe.
I picture with these guys in the tavern.
It's similar to that. So I listened to the Discovery Universal podcast on Goblin's Feast, and they went into. It's fun because they go into the story a little bit, but essentially what the show is they will do a telling of a tale that is set in the house. So essentially, Goblin's Feast is their Thanksgiving, and we are the turkeys. It's kind of celebrating their liberation of humans from Earth, and it's like told the podcast is told from the perspective of like a little goblin, and he's just like, "Oh boy, I can't wait for Goblin's Feast this year. It's gonna be so fun!" And it goes in that. So it is very much going to be in that like, don't take it too serious house. This is just going to be a fun, ridiculous kind of concept. So I'm excited for it a little bit more so now that I see the actual imagery. I hear kind of the direction they're going in. So that sort of excites me. Moving along, we are finally in the scare zones a little bit. So we got a slide for Swamp of the Undead with a sort of sketch drawing of possible, like, a little design rendering of the scare zone, which matched the props we've seen out in the Central Park area already. And we have two of the masks. Now, these are two very deteriorated zombies. I'm glad that they're going this route. I'm glad that they chose a setting that gives us different zombies. It's not just the brains zombies. It's not the Walking Dead zombies. These are zombies set in this zone. So they look like they've been, let's call them marinating. They've been marinating in the swamps, and now they're ready to seek their revenge. But seeing the props in the scare zone, seeing the rendering, seeing this, does this kind of elevate it past a zombie zone for you?
It's still kind of giving.
I think it's
still giving zombie.
It's
still
just
giving
zombies.
Yeah.
Just,
it is still zombies.
It's bayou zombies instead of
underwater zombies.
A little bit for the swamp.
Bayou zombies.
No, but they do look cool. They do look cool. I'm not gonna lie. I'm glad they're kind of going the wet.
I'm really
hair,
trying to sell these zombies, man. Buy one, get one. Come on down.
I think the set design or the scare zone design is going to be really cool. Kind of has that like boat docking, like kind of shack, like in the middle of the water-esque, I think is what it was trying to go for. That looks cool. I've seen some of the pictures online people have been posting with the boats in the scare zone and stuff. So overall, I think the whole design of it's going to be really cool. I hope they have other characters just than our little zombie friends, though.
Yeah, and we've been posting a lot of these pictures thanks to HHN Danny. He's been I said it on Instagram, but I'll say it on here too. He's definitely been helping us out. He's been the boots on the ground for us. He is all in that park. So he's helping us get up all those little update pictures. So shout out to you. Thank you so much for helping us out, because I do not have the time. And I also do like pictures are kind of like, I don't necessarily mind seeing them, but I really do I don't want to say avoid going to the park, but I like to see the first time seeing these props with the lights on and the sun down and stuff like that. So
personally, I've been itching to go.
Right. And then the last picture from the UK event that I don't think we discussed is the picture of the Demon Queen. So this gives out the costume design for all 5 that are in the zone, including Surreal. So I feel like I've been talking for a little bit. Jamie, why don't you walk us through some of these? Because you also might have a better frame of reference versus me being like, yeah, that's like a white dress, and that's like a purple dress, and that's like a green dress.
No, I was going to say too, because I think on the last sketch picture that we had from the press event, I think it was black and white, so I don't think we could see like the colors on the outfits and like everything and stuff like that. But in the far left corner, we have what looks like it'd be maybe like a winged angel kind of demon queen. She has a long white gown, kind of green serpent-like etchings like on the front of her dress, with then it looks like the wing in the back. And they all are kind of wearing like these headpieces. I can't really tell from the sketch drawing if the one to the far right maybe looks like it could be a dragon demon queen. It kind of looks very scaly, very red and orange. The headpiece kind of looks very dragon head-like with possibly like horns coming out from it. The one to the left of that one, which I think was the one on the last episode I was looking at that said looked very like snail-like to me. This is kind of what I'm also getting from that, but it's really here. It's really weird with this one. It's kind of a weird swirled yellow dress that she's wearing, which I'm pretty into. But then it looks like it could maybe, you know what? I think it's a bird. I'm thinking it's a bird because it looks like the black feather dress around the neck could be possibly like a crow's like little like feathering on the neck. And then on her arm, it looks like she has possibly like a crow wing coming, and the top of it looks like it could be the eyes and like the beak is what I'm getting from that. And then in the middle is Surreal. Nick, you said this is Surreal Scare Zone, right?
I believe so. Yeah. Yep.
Mm-hmm. I really like this character design too. I think it looks really cool. The head, I know it's not, but it looks like very kind of reminds me of like Nebula from like Guardians of the Galaxy, like very like robotic, like,
cyborgy.
I guess with like cyborgy kind of, but more gory, I guess, because I think it's supposed to be like exposed skin kind of thing with like the face like cracking, which is pretty cool. Really cool outfit again. Big, I can't think of the name, kind of like big ballroom dress skirts that they were wearing back in the olden days with like the little like tuft underneath it with a sort of serpent like swirl going around it. Red, purple colors, very cool. Her arms and like her chest torso kind of look like they're more open, like flesh and muscle, like kind of like on her face, which is fun. And then the last character that we have, which I think is going to be my favorite one, this one looks really cool. It's kind of giving Wednesday Addams, but I kind of like it. I feel like the dress is very, like I was kind of saying, that like poofy, like Renaissance, like old style with the purple at the bottom, and then it has kind of like the bassinet at the bottom of it, and then the sleeves are very puffed, the black and white stripes, the purple on the dress. The headdress on this one kind of looks like it goes over the head, kind of sort of spider-like design maybe is what I'm getting from this one. But yeah, hopefully my descriptions of these were pretty good. I was gonna say we definitely posted a picture of the colorized one on Instagram, so please go look at that so you guys don't think I'm crazy with the way I'm describing these, and let us know what you think about them, because I do think they look really awesome, and I think that all of the outfits and the dresses in this Scare Zone are going to be very fun to see in person because they look very detailed.
Yeah, they're all very different, which is what I like. Do you have a favorite? Take out, yeah, I guess you can include Surreal.
I was going to say the second one in the purple and like black looking.
I think the second from the right, like looking at it like on the right side, I don't know what color it is, but like yellow or green or whatever.
The yellow one.
I think that one's going to look really cool, I think, in person.
Yeah,
it looks like a fish head on top, like an open fish.
That's what I was thinking, or maybe a fish, but then like the arm looks like crow-like and like feathers like kind of coming down. Yeah, I definitely think
I kind of like the one on the right. It looks like a wrestling leotard. Looks like Marilyn Manson mixed with like
the dragon one.
David Bowie. Yeah,
the dragon.
That one looks pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, interesting. I'm excited to see these costumes. It definitely, the surreal aspect is pushing me back into that dark Zodiac mindset a little bit.
It is,
but I know it's not. I like that there's prominent figures, so I just hope there's no chainsaws to ruin it this time.
Oh, but there will.
Oh, but there will be. All right, so let's pivot now from Orlando over to the West Coast. Now, we don't talk Hollywood all too often, but I think we can run through these pretty quickly just to kind of give our thoughts. You know, we're not going to go see this event, but I'm just curious
I
what everyone
wish.
thinks and if these are something that maybe you'd want to see on our end at some point. So I don't know the order in which these actually got announced, so we're just going to go down the list. So the Scare Zone, Luchadores Monstros. So this is, the description is, you're about to get caught in the middle of a lucha libre horror film. 2 luchadors are going to the mat against a horde of masked monsters. Now, there are pictures out there, and it's just what you thought. It's a bunch of Mexican luchador-style masks, but everyone's themed as different little monsters. And I do want to shout out that somewhere in my mind, 10 months ago, put luchadors on our way too early episode back in December. I wanted a luchador-style house, and Hollywood got it as a Scare Zone. I don't even get to see it after I wished it into existence. I don't even get to reap the benefits. I don't know how it came to my mind, but I wanted it. God damn it. Is this something you'd want to see?
Of course it is. It's sickening how cool this would be to see, especially since they have the little creature luchador. He looks really cool. And just looking at all the different outfits and the different costumes that they have and the monsters that they paired up with each costume, they just both they go hand in hand with each other. And I think this will be a really fun zone. And I'm kind of jealous we're not getting it. And Nick, I gotta give it to you. You definitely called it on this one, because as soon as they announced it, and before you had mentioned it to me, I was like, I feel like I distinctly remember Nick saying something about the luchador and that he would like to see that in his own. Probably when we'd watched Nacho Libre or something.
I think it was probably because we watched Nacho Libre.
Yeah.
But Seamus, wrestling fan, interesting concept, or like weird to pull off?
I think it's fun. I think they'd find a way to make it work. So yeah, I'd be kind of pumped to go do this one.
So let's get into, we'll stick on the Scare Zone. So they announced, I think, 3 of them. So the 3 we'll talk about at least. If they've announced more, then so be it. But if not, this is the one we'll talk about. This one's called Murder of Crows with a Z. They always add Z's over in Hollywood. Don't know why. But it is described as, you've foolishly ventured into a massive crow's nest. Now the fearsome flock will descend upon you and peck your bones clean. So, thoughts on Murder of Crows? It kind of looks a little bit funner, like more funner, not a word, but more fun than it describes.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like it's like a bird scare zone, but it just happens to be crows. My guess is that it'll be like humanoid crow type scare actors. I don't think it'll be just like a bunch of random like actual crows pecking people to death, but like
throwing birds at people.
Yeah, it's an interesting idea. I think it's kind of one of those like taking a risk type thing. You know, this might work, this might not work, but you might as well try, right?
What are we going over? The crowing?
The crows.
Yeah, the crow one.
I can't talk about the zone without thinking of the crowing from Schitt's Creek.
Correct, the crow. Exactly. Yeah. Moira.
Little baby crows.
I think this will be cool, though. I think it's something different, so.
The crows have eyes 3. The crowing.
The crowing.
Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is. I think it could translate into something. I don't know if it could translate into an entire house. I think this would be a really fun portion for Slaughter Cinema. Mm-hmm. I think this would be a cool, bad B grade, C grade horror movie to really showcase in there. But you know, we'll see.
I do think this might be a returning character for them that they've seen before, because I saw people on Twitter talking about that.
Possibly. This is something that we, like I said, we don't really touch on Hollywood all too often. So if it is, then that's not something I know. Mm-hmm. The final Scare Zone that got announced was called, again with a Z, Chainsaw Punks.
Right up
Get
your
revved
alley.
Up for your night of terror as soon as you enter. Chainsaw wielding punk rockers with masks and mohawks will close in on you. This seems like this would have been a zone for us this year based off of the aesthetic.
Mm-hmm. You would think.
I'm kind of surprised it's not. That is weird.
Why do I feel like that all our chainsaw guys are going to be dressed up like punks? So they don't need a scare zone. They're just going to dress them up like that, probably.
So if they do that as a roaming horde, I'm okay with that. to an extent. I'm still not in love with it, but if it's not in the other zones, I'm fine with adding.
They might just stick them back in
thing.
Simpsons, because didn't they do that before? Like before, they just stuck them in Simpsons.
Yeah, if Simpsons has anything to say, fuck them. Disney owns them now, so we're gonna do whatever we want.
Disney's not gonna say shit.
Yeah, so we'll do whatever we want.
Shut up, Disney.
So yeah, I kind of hope our horde is, at least if they're doing it, dressed up like that, because it makes sense for the vibe they've been going for, and that vibe hasn't been matched in anything. That old punk rockery aesthetic isn't present, other than Slaughter Cinema 2 with the
a lot of it's just in the merch and stuff.
Yeah, doesn't tie in.
What it seems like, anyways.
Yeah. So let's get to the house that was announced for Hollywood, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Legacy of Leatherface. Fall victim to Leatherface and his cannibalistic kin as they lure you into their gore-filled slaughterhouse in a gruesome original story. Now, they did say at the panel that this is a multiverse-style movie that runs parallel with the original. So you're going to get every single iteration of Leatherface in this house. Jamie, I know you're really bummed that we're not getting this.
You know how I feel about this one. I don't even want to fucking say it, because Hollywood has continuously just been surpassing my expectations, and I just feel like they get all the IPs, and I get it over there. They have like the backlot tour, they do the terror tram and stuff like that. So I get they get the more movie properties, all that kind of stuff, but they're just getting all of them, and I just would have, you could have replaced Texas Chainsaw, and I know we just had it, but it's a different one. It's like an original story. It's literally all of them meshed into one for the 50th anniversary. Super sick. And we get fucking Quiet Place and Ghostbusters when we could have easily replaced one of those with Texas Chainsaw. And then even thinking about it too, it's just, I'm not even going to keep talking about it. It's fine.
No, go on. Rant, Jamie, rant.
I can't be the only one bitching, Jamie.
I just think it's crazy. I just think it's crazy that they always just get better IPs than us. And Nick was trying to argue the point that, they're still getting all these other ones too. And I'm like, yeah, plus Texas Chainsaw. So they're getting all the same ones we are, plus Texas Chainsaw. Personally, I think we could have hit the boot on A Quiet Place and just put Texas Chainsaw, and I would have been perfectly happy with that. Would have been fine.
So my thing to that is, I don't think they're going to ditch any of these IPs. So if we did get Chainsaw, like for us, like we wouldn't have given up one of the IPs. That was probably part of the process, was saying these are dual coast IPs. So if you really want Texas Chainsaw, which original are you kicking off of our lineup?
Which original house?
Correct, because that's what would have to go.
Right, because it's 4 IPs and 6 originals.
I can't even think of all the IPs off the top of my head. Triplets.
So the originals:
Slaughter Cinema, Major Sweets, Goblin's Feast for sure.
All right.
Goblin's Feast for sure. I don't need the comedic goofiness house. Goblins are cool. We kind of saw these same characters last year in Dragons. I'm not gonna lie. It looks very similar to the trolls and that you would somewhat see in the house occasionally, and the characters at the beginning of the house. But yeah.
I don't really. I haven't been going to the event like a crazy amount of time. I've been going since 25, and I've seen Chainsaw twice already.
Yeah.
And I, if you want to dig deep into the Fear and Beer catalog, I think Seamus, myself, and Kevin did a killer review on Texas Chainsaw. I'm not the biggest fan. I don't really like the movie.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre is scary, though.
It's
like, it would be nice to have a scarier house. That would be the scariest house we would have if we had that house this year, for sure.
It wouldn't be Insidious.
You don't think? I think
no.
Personally, with what I'm scared of, growing up, Texas Chainsaw used to scare the shit out of me. And even when they had Leatherface in the previous years, like before when you guys would go when I was younger and they had it before, I was like, no, definitely not doing that. Really scary. But I don't know. I feel like Insidious and Texas Chainsaw are two different scaries. I feel like Insidious is more jump scares, and I feel like Texas Chainsaw, it is jump scares, don't get me wrong, and you have the chainsaw noises that I guess add to the effect of it, but I guess the setting is more scary for me too. I guess,
you know?
Like more of a gory setting, more of that redneck horror that I love. I mean, it just reminds me of it gives strong House of Thousand Corpses vibes, which is why I guess I've always liked Texas Chainsaw too. Don't get me wrong, I'm not the biggest fan of the franchise or anything like that, but personally, I just would have rather taken it over A Quiet Place or over Ghostbusters, knowing that this would definitely be scarier than either of those two houses will be, probably.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I feel like our last Chainsaw House had elements of this because like they came out and they were like, oh, it's Texas Chainsaw, the original. And then we had some stuff with like Grandpa and Chop. Not a lot, but like they were in there. So like they did kind of mesh a couple things together.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like we got a little taste of exactly what they're doing already. You know, we didn't get every Leatherface.
Yeah.
If I had to choose between the two, what we got and like this, I probably would have chosen this.
Yeah.
So I can get some variety in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. It's take it or leave it. I'm kind of just I'm content with what we have. You know, would I trade it out for Frozen Empire? Maybe, but again, it's not a property that I love, and seeing it for the third time, I'm just kind of like, I could care less.
It's just like, again, too. Sorry, Nick, go ahead. I thought you were.
I know we've had Halloween and stuff a lot. I've seen Halloween a lot as well, but I enjoy Halloween a lot more than I enjoy Texas Chainsaw.
And I would for sure always take Halloween over Texas Chainsaw if it came down to it, something like that. But yeah, I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to say something. Oh, I was just going to say, not to harp on this too much because now I feel like I'm being a brat. I usually don't complain. I'm usually the positive one. But I can't even. Never mind. Just go on. It's okay. We just had Ghostbusters too. I mean, we just had Ghostbusters a couple years ago too. Same thing with Texas Chainsaw, pretty much.
Different property.
Different property. 19, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
2019.
Yeah.
Different film. I mean, they're focusing on Frozen Empire in this time, so.
Same franchise though. You're gonna see the same main characters except for the girl and Paul Rudd.
If it helps at all, my opinion would be that if we were to lose an original for this house, it would be Triplets of Terror.
And see, I don't want to poo-poo on that one yet because I'm intrigued by that one.
So I think that if you were to give Texas, you would lose that house in place of Texas.
Similar vibe.
Or you'd gain Texas in place of Triplets of Terror because Triplets of Terror seems like it's going to be, bargain bin 3 from hell.
Yeah, pretty much. But all right, well, we did it. We covered a whole lot of stuff. We went from Hollywood to Orlando to a UK press event. Whew. We got a lot out there. So before we wrap up, a couple things. Horror movies of the week. Anybody watch anything?
I am 8 episodes into Lovecraft Country.
Ooh.
Oh, you were talking about that.
I haven't seen it.
Yeah. It's on HBO?
It's on HBO Max, yeah. Seamus is Captain catch up on everything super late. So this was released in like 2020 and I kept meaning to go back and watch it, but I never really did. But I did start watching it on Monday, and I'm 8 episodes through the 10 episode season.
Nice.
Or series, because really it was only one season. But it's weird. It's surprisingly gory. But if you're into weird, crazy shit that not only like deals in like Lovecraftian horror, but also deals with social horror, because this is actually produced by Jordan Peele. So
that's
if
cool.
you're into like Jordan Peele movies, this is probably a show you'd be into. I'll tell you right now, see, this episode 8 is definitely up your alley, Jamie. Like you'll be like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay.
Let's just say it resembles a movie that you like dearly that Nick doesn't like. And I don't want to say the name because it'll give away too much of what happens in it, but it is.
I think I know what
they
you're
all
thinking.
give each other STDs that kill them.
Yeah, no. But episode 8 is definitely so far my favorite episode. I've got 2 more to go, so I'm either gonna finish them tonight or at least watch one tonight.
Does the name Frank ring a bell? Does it have anything to do with that?
No, it has nothing to do with that. That's not the movie I'm talking about.
Interesting.
So you should watch it.
All right.
Nick, you actually, I mean, to be honest with you, I think you both could get something out of it. It's just weird. Plus, it helps that Jonathan Majors is an incredible actor, even if he is an abusive piece of shit.
Oh, he is. That's the Kang guy, right?
It is. Yeah. He was the Kang guy.
Oh, was the Kang guy? I forgot.
But he is so he's so good in it. Plus, you have I forget his name, but he was in The Wire. and a couple other shows. He plays his like the dad character to Jonathan's character. It's really good. And it kind of takes like a lot of the not so good shit about H.P. Lovecraft and turns it on its head, because without getting into too much detail, Lovecraft was a racist piece of shit. Like an incredibly racist piece of shit, xenophobic. And it kind of takes that idea and takes a lot of those racist themes that he had in a lot of his stories, and turns it on its head. And it attacks that in a smart way. So smart way. So if you haven't watched it, I would recommend it. I am wholeheartedly sucked into it.
Nice. I've been needing something.
And kind of sad it was only one season.
Is it only one season? I was just going to say, damn.
Only one season, yeah.
Nice little quick
Jamie, did you watch anything this week?
I'm watching something right now as we're recording this in the background, since I've seen it so often, since someone did not want to watch it on the big screen TV for its 37th anniversary yesterday. The Lost Boys.
It's not even like a big anniversary. It's like just like 37th. You just wanted an excuse to watch it, Jamie.
I did want an excuse to watch it. That's why it's on right now. But it's cool. I haven't watched it since we went to the boardwalk in February. So it's cool being like, we were there.
That's true. You were there.
Yeah.
Well, I hope it finishes soon, because I'm about to go take.
Oh, it's almost done. Just enough time.
I'm going to take Nebraska to the championship in a second. But other than seeing Deadpool and Wolverine 3 times this week, I just threw on the first like hour and a half of Trick or Treat, because I decided since it's August 1st, I had to decorate the entire apartment for Halloween.
He did.
It was pretty fitting to get all the orange lights and put some Sam on the TV. So that's what I
put in a lot of work while I was at work. I came home and it was a Halloween Wonderland.
But yep, that's all we have for this week. Get ready, because we have already started to plan out our 1 week till HHN Podathon. And if you're new to us this year, because we have been gaining a bunch of random new people, thank you for checking us out. But what we like to do for the final week, because if you're as weird as us and you like Halloween Horror Nights and you're just that last week is miserable, we are here for you. We are going to put out an episode every single day from Friday to Friday. So 7 days, 8 episodes, or however, 8 days, 8 episodes, whatever it works out to being. So we're already planning some really fun stuff. We're trying to find a way to get it a little bit more interactive this year. So be on the lookout. That's going to start on August 23rd. It's going to run all the way to August 30th on opening day. So just be on the lookout. We'll be posting about that in the next week or so. But I think that's really all we have to say about that at this point. So just be on the lookout. Make sure you're following us on everything, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, all that good stuff. But until next time, this was a long one. Thanks for hanging in there with us. This is Nick.
And this is Seamus.
This is Jamie.
Happy haunts.
It's cursed. It's got a death curse.
You know, it's Halloween. I guess everyone's entitled to one good scare, huh?
And again, I would just like to thank Vampire Stepdad for letting us use his music for our intro and outro music. So if you would, just go check him out. Spotify, Facebook. Again, that is Vampire Stepdad.